Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBNradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon on UBN, Universal Broadcasting Network, out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California, and again on Thursday at 7 on my syndicated CNBC News radio channel, KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and as of last month, I have been bumped up to iHeartRadio, so you can catch me anywhere for more hope and happiness, because this is a show about how you can be happier 88% of the time. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And it is Marvin Gaye time. Yes, it's the last week of the month, and we are here to talk about sexual healing because I am determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic. And if you remember, about a year ago, I started this series because I found that statistic that said that up to 85% of women were faking orgasms, were not feeling good about the way their body looked, feeling embarrassed. And I know I was one of them. I may look good in clothes, but when, it's like false advertising. You take it off and I'm not crazy about the way I look naked. And I knew that there was something that had to happen and shift in my own mind. And so we've had guests that talk about sex, about pleasure, about orgasms. If you've missed the 11 kinds of orgasms from Davy Ward Tantra, please do go to my YouTube and have a listen to that as well. I brought in people who talked about female genital mutilation and healing from that in Sierra Leone. And now today, I have brought to us Jo Lynn Clemens. I got it right. And I found her on LinkedIn, and she has this fantastic product and service. She's the CEO and founder of XOXY, a safe sex tool, and more. When her daughter left for college, she learned that 1 in 3 women are assaulted nationwide and that STDs are spread every 30 seconds, with the largest increase in HIV amongst 14 to 25-year-olds. Her goal is to make dating safer for women and men. XOXY is a personal risk management tool to increase communication, transparency, and safety within relationships, in both in person and online. Her work has been featured on ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, and more. Please welcome to the studio, Jo Lynn Clemens.
Thank you, Dr.
Welcome. I keep wanting to say Joanne. I think that's where my stumbling is. Jo Lynn it's beautiful. It's just a little unusual for me. So I have this question. I have a friend. She does not have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And whenever you call her, it says, "Who are you and what do you want?" So who are you, Jo Lynn, and what do you want?
Okay. Well, I am a 30-year risk management veteran. I've been regional manager. I've managed risk for large corporations to include Hilton, municipalities, and I look at compliance. I manage litigation and privacy. So that all came together in my need in terms of what I want is to reduce the crime involved in dating. The impetus, as you mentioned earlier, was when my daughter went to college and I found out about the number of sexual assaults nationwide, one in 3 women.
That's amazing.
We've got ridiculous statistics as it relates to fraud in dating and catfishing, which is a new term that came out. And we've actually got $85 million annually that's scammed from Americans in catfishing. And then lastly, with STDs, shockingly, the highest increase in HIV is actually amongst 14 to 25-year-olds. And we have in Rhode Island and New England area, pelvic inflammatory disease that they're attributing to HIV and other STDs has surpassed heart disease as a killer of women.
Wow, I did not know
So
that.
my goal is to reduce the statistics that I just quoted and make it easier for people to communicate about issues that are crucial to their health and safety.
Absolutely, and that's fantastic. You are a risk manager, and you're applying your expertise in helping improve really where we are around pleasure safely. is how I'm going to say it. So, what is your daughter in now?
She's actually graduated, so she's in the stream of the app. Basically, she is 25 years old at this time.
Is she using the app?
Right now, she's concentrating on work, but she, will use it once she's ready to start getting into the dating field.
That's great. Yeah, my daughter is going to Cornell this fall, so I will be turning her onto this. Even though she has a boyfriend, she's happy. But I think it's a wonderful.
That's good.
It's even what I like about your site and your work is it helps have that conversation, moms and daughters friends. That is a little bit uncomfortable to start with, but it is almost like that joy of sex on the table that you can actually speak to. So let's go to the site, because I think that in describing it, when I went there, it's like a cross between Match.com, Center for Disease Control, and your own awareness of your health and welfare with lab results. So walk me through this whole concept.
Okay. So basically what happens is, and this is the beauty of it, it was geared towards women, and all women can sign up, or men, for free for the search and refer option.
Okay.
That option allows you to refer a potential date to get one of our credentials through the site. Our first credential that we launched is a flagship credential, more expensive because it includes Quest laboratory testing. You would go to the app, register. The first thing it does is the background test of your potential date, and then it directs them to go to Quest Labs.
Now, background as in financial background, as in criminal history, or just health? We're just focused on health?
It would be to confirm identity, no felonies or misdemeanors related to sex offenses.
Okay. So this is more than just if you have an STD. This is an actual background check. Okay. So that takes
that's the combination credential. That's the first one that we have. The second credential is a separate background credential, and the third is a separate STD credential. So you go through the app, you register, you take your photo, it's sent to the background company for the background check, and then they check your identity, no felonies, and no sex offenses. Then if you opt for a separate STD credential, it affords the option to go to the doctor of your choice, so that you're not limited to going to Quest Labs. And it reduces the price of the credential, because that way, you can go through your insurance. But I wanted to offer an option for those who don't have insurance as well. And of course, there's resources out there like, freestd.org around the country to get the testing completed as well. So women can refer their date before their emotions are involved in the relationship, hopefully up front.
Emotions or body parts?
Exactly.
All right. Because if you just tuned in, you are tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And we are talking to Jo Lynn Clemens, who is the founder and CEO of XOXY, which is a very unique and well-needed and a little bit on the cutting edge. It combines dating with the realities of safe sex. I think is probably the easiest way to understand it. So let's put this to an application. So I am currently, as everybody that listens knows, single, happily divorced, single. Dating when I find someone who's more interesting than my daughters and their friends to go out with on a date, which has been hasn't been lately. So if I met a guy. First. So let's say I met a guy that I'm interested in and there's been no contact, but I have his name. Would I be able to go onto your data, onto your website and see if he's even in your database?
You can. If he has gotten the credential in the past and it's within 6 months, because it only lasts for 6 months.
Okay.
Because circumstances change. Then he would be in the system.
Okay. So,
of course,
go ahead.
Oh, if he's not, then you can refer him through the app itself.
Okay, so that would be the next on the flow chart. So no, he's not in the database. And if I would like to, I think if he hasn't asked me out, that's probably not a time to say, go to this site if you want to ask me out. So, but if he has asked me out, I might, if there is chemistry, then I would say, is there like a prompter that you use?
Well, because generally speaking, people use texting or email. If beyond, and I encourage that, especially if it's someone that you don't know, and maybe create an email that doesn't reveal your identity. And you can do that even when you sign up to search and refer. That way, when you're referring the gentleman, he doesn't have your details.
Okay.
But you can just simply let him know if you're serious about a relationship or serious about meeting. I would like you to get one of these safe dating credentials.
Okay, safe dating credentials. That's the verbiage. I like that. So would love to go out with you. This is not a test, but I would love for you to get a safe dating credential from XOXY.com. So just like that, we can text it. Okay, that's one scenario. And then if he refuses, then, you either say goodbye or go on another date to see if it's worth making it an issue.
True. And what it does is it's not to alienate anyone. In fact, if someone fails the test, then they just don't show up in the lookup because we want to promote people testing. That's the reason why we've got the increase in, syphilis, gonorrhea, HIV today is because people are not getting tested, nor are they, the Google search doesn't do the deep dive search that we do for crime. Could have prevented that young mother in Seattle from getting dismembered, had she requested that her potential date get the background credential. So what we want to do is open communication and so if a person decides not to get the credential, maybe they'll explain why, and maybe it's something that isn't as negative of a component. It depends on the perception of the person and what they're looking for. But our goal is to promote safe dating and open communication.
Got it. So if I went to the website to I don't want to say fish because it sounds like catfish, but just peruse your candy jar, of potential dates? Is that another way to use your website to see if there's men there who are?
Currently, we don't have it set up that way.
Okay.
We have it set up where you have to put in a specific name, just
Okay.
for the standpoint, because I'm concerned about privacy.
Sure.
And in regards to privacy, the great thing about it is that none of the results or personal information are stored within our system. So it's hack proof.
Okay.
It stays with our vendors,
Mhm.
and we get a pass fail from our vendors. And that fail, as I indicated, doesn't show up. So if someone goes through it, they can do it. And if something comes up, they're not going to have their profile there with a stigma of any sort.
So if they do have an STD, they will not show up on the site as
Exactly.
a positive. So
After you've referred them to do so, and they've gotten a test, or if they drag their feet, then it's kind of a litmus test, that there may be an issue, and or if you're looking for a serious relationship, if someone's not willing to go through this, that's also
Telling.
kind of a barometer
Right.
for their feelings.
Now, any false positives? Is there a way to make sure that we're accurate? Because let's say you refer a guy, he does the testing, he really doesn't have anything, but it shows up positive in the lab, because it does do that every once in a while.
Well, we're talking about Quest Labs, so I mean that's the accuracy is close to 100%.
But it isn't 100%.
Yeah, versus, I know they have these at-home options, but the accuracy of those kits, are not to the level of actually going to a lab, which when you go to your doctor, it goes back to the lab also. So we have trained professionals. So it's the best accuracy that's available.
Right. And it is certainly safer than if I look at the normal route of dating. So I'm not going to say which date it is, first or after 3 months, but you have the chemistry, you start making out, you go to consume the attraction, and so in the past, when things were not as developed or not as understood, maybe in the way past, you would just do it without any protection, and at that time, the concern was pregnancy. So
Right.
We've kind of gotten to the point where we're less concerned about pregnancy because of the pill and all the other contraceptions, but STDs, herpes, all the sexually transmitted diseases that are not foolproof even with a condom are the ones that we're trying to eliminate or protect against now. So this is one better than, I mean, what am I going to say in the throes of passion? Show me your report. So this is a very practical, what I'm seeing, way of ensuring that it's beyond the have you been tested? Because I've said that before, and I mean, what guy is going to say no? In that moment of passion, they're going to say yes, and have you, and it's yes. But pulling out a paper from the back of your pant pocket is not going to do it. Plus, and I don't know, I'm sure you've dealt with this. I've heard, and I've mentioned this on a sexual healing episode before, that the one HPV doesn't show up on lab tests for men. It shows up for women, but for some reason it does not show up for men. So how are you dealing with that?
Well, our currently we do not include HPV in our tests. The list of actual STDs that are included are syphilis, gonorrhea, hepatitis C and B, chlamydia, and HIV.
Okay. So for that one, there really isn't even a test as far as I have heard from the medical professionals.
True. Once that advances to the point where there's more accuracy, then we will add that to our list.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this, I know you said that it's very private and it's very, safe, but there is that little feeling of invasion of privacy, like who, what right do you have to go and investigate someone in this way? So I'm just going to put that moose on the table. Well, how do you respond to that?
Well, this is voluntary. So that's the thing. It's no different than, say, currently what people are doing, hopefully, they're asking, this is even a step better, because currently they may conduct a background check without the person's real-time photo. So the photo is taken within the app and sent through. You can't upload any
other
photo.
people's.
So if they
Okay.
did just a background check without someone's knowledge, that's different than, referring someone to go through this process. So this is completely voluntary. And I think it sets a great foundation for a relationship in the first place.
Right.
Transparent. And you have that level of honesty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Great. That's a very good point. So it's a behavioral affirmation that you are willing to move forward in a transparent way. So that's
Exactly.
a quality. That's a quality. People, women always say, I want them to be honest, right? The men say they want them to be honest. So this is a good, where your action speaks louder than your words. So that's a definite benefit. Now, if a person, so I feel... Okay, so we're promoting testing. So if they get tested and they find out they have, their test comes out positive for any of the above that you just said, then what do you do? Do you refer them, or do you, sorry, you failed and good luck, or how do you handle that?
Well, what happens is if they do the separate credential STD, then their doctor will let them know. Okay. And advise them on treatment. Otherwise, through Quest, we contract with Medivo that reaches out to those who have results that are negative and lets them know what those results are and to go to a doctor. Mm-hmm. So there's compliance in that regard as well.
So the good news, too, is for many on those lists, it's treatable. Like, I'm not a medical professional, right? So chlamydia is treatable. There's no long-lasting. Hepatitis C is different, right? So
right.
B and C.
As is herpes too. So currently, we do not test for herpes 1, which is considered a cold sore. We had initially decided to do so, but when we looked at the statistics and spoke to physicians, we've got close to 70% of the population gets cold sores, and they could get them from the grandmother kissing a child. So we don't test for herpes 1. Okay. And herpes 2 we do test for, and for that there is no cure. Okay.
And I do know that there's dating sites that I've heard that are for people who test positive for herpes.
Exactly.
Which is interesting.
And we include those resources. There's a resource tab on our site that includes a list of sites, where people can date in the event they find that they do have, contracted an STD.
That is not.
Also, other resources are there as well, including dating tips from some of the leading dating experts in the country.
Give me the top 3 on those. I need them.
Top 3 dating? I can't do that.
Are you married? But can I ask you if you're married? Just a personal question. Can I ask you if you're married?
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm divorced. I do have a significant special boyfriend that I have been dating for quite some time, and it's very serious. Okay. So, but I can totally relate. I remember in the process of developing this app, in fact, I was divorced at the time, And I thought, my main concern really was my daughter, but I could certainly relate. My concern was, say my daughter graduates from college and she and some of her friends move out of state, away from the network of people that they could talk to about, who they are dating, and basically meeting strangers. And that's really the landscape that we have today. I even found out that 70% of college students date online, and that, was shocking to me, given the large campus that they have. But we're moving away from, the communications at a level that, where there's more honesty and sincerity, and it's easy for criminals to use, online or, other other modes of communication to actually commit crimes.
Yeah, that is the days of only losers use online dating. I'll never do it because I'm not a loser. Those days are gone.
Right.
The numbers are just speaking for themselves. I know of just as many people who have had horrible experiences online as people who have gotten married and have beautiful relationships because of online.
True.
So it is a reality. I talk to my teenage kids. My teenage kids' friends are, they all are on some kind of, rating each other kind of app. So I just had this visual when you were talking is, you meet someone at a bar and you take your camera and you shoot a picture of them and it goes in this database and it spits out everything. So that's the future.
Right. And we're not there,
No. We're on our way though.
About the honesty piece,
right.
And about each person agreeing, hey, if you're serious about this, then would you be willing to do this? And I would think that whether it be a man or a woman agreeing to go through and get the credential, I think that establishes a level of seriousness, at least, and even honesty.
Yeah, and a willingness. And the trust factor goes up. Absolutely. I really, this is a great alternative, not alternative. It's a great step in, because it is so easy to meet people online and you just don't know who they are. And that reality show, Catfishing, showing how you can develop an entire relationship with someone with never even seeing them. And I actually did a show on this as well because I myself got catfished. Unbelievable. I'm supposed to be smart. And I, had feelings for this man I'd never met, but I, his website, what he did and what he was saying and the conversations. And then, a month later, he's asking for money. And
right.
so it's a reality, and this is a great, if instead of hiring a private investigator or having to go and fork out money for a background check yourself, it's a valid, relevant site that allows the average person to make an informed choice, and I think that's great. So we'll talk more about that site, and we are going to thank the sponsors who make this show possible. I am on the air with Jo Lynn Clemens, the CEO and founder of XOXY.com, which is an excellent tool for anyone out there dating and wanting to date safely and successfully. We'll be right back. Peace in and peace out. Does it hurt to move? Do you have I'm getting old back pain, joint discomfort? Then let Lori Soki, a certified Pilates trainer posture specialist, help. Her new book, Be Healthy on Purpose, and 4 DVDs will get you back on your feet and off your back. Go to www.healthyposturenow.com today and let Lori help you get your groove back. That's www.healthyposturenow.com. Would you like to have your own signature fragrance created for the holidays? Gary Okunzi produces boutique scents containing 100% essential oils from Europe, free of chemicals and alcohol. One of his popular creations, Transylvania Night's Treasure, is a signature fragrance with flower scents indigenous to the actual land of Transylvania. To order, email gary.okunzi@yahoo.com. And we are back. Welcome to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon at Universal Broadcasting Network in Hollywood, California, and every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel, KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5, and now also always on YouTube and on iHeartRadio as of late. And I wanted to take 1 second to thank you so much. We are in the middle of the voting for Podcast Award of the Year, and I'm so grateful that I got nominated and reviewed. Excuse me. And I have been chosen to be one of the top 10 podcasts. There's they went over 100 million downloads, over 40,000 podcasts, and over 1,000 reviewed, and I made it into the top 10 spot. So thank you so much for the nominations. In order to vote, at this point, it's a popularity contest. If you wouldn't mind going to podcastawards.com and voting for me, I would so appreciate it, but I'm already super happy to make it the top 10 list. So, a little commercial for me. And we're back with Jo Lynn Clemens, the CEO and founder of XOXY.com, the safe sex and dating tool. And you've gotten quite a few endorsements from different places. What has that been like? And talk about that for a minute.
Well, it's been fantastic, I think, because this is a long time coming. And in fact, when I was in the process of developing it, I was surprised myself that it did not exist. But the Matchmaking Institute of New York, Rachel Russo, who's the executive director, is now actually teaching students about the credential. And we also were invited to the International Summit to Prevent Sexual Violence coming up in July. Looking forward to that. Attendees include ambassadors, politicians. So really excited about that as well. So it's been, very well received. And I hope that it continues because that simply goes towards our mission of reducing the crime and reducing the health consequences.
Wonderful. Now, specific to college, I thought I read something about, the whole incidence and the spread of disease in college sex. Speak to that for me. Okay. Well, we mentioned that every 30 seconds an STD is transferred to another indivical. At universities, it has I'm clocking it right now. Really peaked because, as I mentioned earlier, the highest percentage increase in HIV transmissions, which is shocking, is amongst 14 to 25-year-olds. Why do you think that is? That is unbelievable. Shocking. It's unprotected sex, right? It's not. Exactly. And Senator Cory Booker, actually has passed legislation that will require mandatory sexual education at younger grades because of it. It's really a huge concern. We've even got, as a result of the rampant spread of STDs, some mutations out there. For instance, for gonorrhea, there is a strain that is currently very difficult, if not, impossible to treat, and a new HIV strain that is, as well difficult to treat. So this evolution and mutation of some of the STDs and the resurgence of syphilis. I mean, I don't remember hearing about syphilis. Right. It was in the Bible. Right. For a while, I didn't hear anything about it, and now there's a huge increase in that as well. I didn't know that. And again, I'm nothing against what the senator's trying to do. But I think the most powerful thing, and which is why I have this series, is if we can talk about it and take the whole discomfort, stigma, all of that about sex and pleasure and orgasms and my poor kids. The great thing about doing this show and having this series and having such a personal passion towards being able to be more comfortable talking about it is that, my kids tell me everything. There are times when they go, Mom, can we please not talk about the urethra at the dinner table? So, but the great thing is my daughters are very comfortable saying it's time to visit the doctor, and I think that if moms can get over their own discomfort with talking about, pleasure, self-pleasure, safe sex, the attraction, chemistry, non-chemistry, qualities of a man, how to read qualities of your partner, and having that conversation and leading questions to talk, and have you talked about this, and do you know about that, and why are you attracted to this, and have you thought this way? If we can all do that, there's no need for the legislation. But because we're not comfortable talking about it, and here's another thing that I've discovered is my kids may not be comfortable talking to me, even though mine are, but I've found that I talk to my daughter's friends. They find it very easy to talk to me, and very easy to sort of say, I don't want to have sex. I want to have sex, but I don't want to be labeled as being easy. Like that was one of the highlights of my month when one of my daughter's friends actually said that to me. We had a great discussion. So even, your network of friends and talking about that, I think that comfort will help eliminate a lot of the uneducated or accidental spreading of disease.
True.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And as you indicated, whoever your child has that level of communication with, we as parents need to really be observant and ask that person to assist, because it really does take teamwork, because just as you indicated, you may approach certain topics, but, sometimes our children may tune us out just
yeah, that's mom.
Basically, because we are the parent,
right.
Because they can,
know.
So
right.
It's important to identify those allies that are also, close and that you can trust to assist in those conversations and to keep the communication open. In fact, as regards college students, we currently have launched an Indiegogo campaign, and my goal is to afford free credentials for all college students.
That's awesome.
So we're in the process of doing that. I also wanted to mention something that was really neat to find out. We have found that there are actually several males that are initiating the credential themselves without getting referred, and they're doing so to eliminate the competition. So that they appear, more responsible. They're safe.
That's a great idea.
So it's nice. It's good to hear.
Yes,
it's good to see that there's an increase in men that are taking the lead on this.
So it's a part of their introduction. I'm on XOXY.
Exactly.
How are you?
That's right.
I can lead with the safe foot. That's great. That's great. So how do people find you? Obviously XOXY. Why XOXY, by the way? Love?
X is hugs and kisses,
Right.
and the XXXY or any combination are the chromosomes.
Okay.
Male, female.
That's what I thought.
Or female, whatever combination. So I wanted to come up with a word that's kind of like, that could become a household word and could be used as a verb. So you can ask your partner, we pronounce it XOXY, but it is XOXY. But if you wanted to use it as a verb, you can say XOXY. And then that way, but we wanted it to be catchy, so that, it could be unique, kind of like a Google Yahoo, where you don't really relate anything else to that particular term.
Right. Have you been XOXY'd? I've been XOXY'd. Wonderful. And I before we get to the Asian Oprah giveaway, I did want to give you the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award because of this work. You've taken work that you do, which is your gift of risk management, and you're a very successful insurance professional. And I'm grateful that you took that and you just didn't, that was it, and I'm going to retire. And you actually took that skill and made it into something extremely beneficial for all of us. So thank you very much. Yay. So we do have a great Asian Oprah giveaway today because it's obviously something that is going to benefit you and your sex life. And with all of the single people out there and all of my single listeners, I understand that I'll let you explain what you have provided for all of my listeners.
All right. For your audience, I would like to offer 500 viewers a free STD credential. All you would need to do is at checkout, use student. And then that way there will be no charge to you.
In the promo code section. So put student in there. So that's a huge Asian Oprah giveaway. That's almost as good as a car. That's
in
wonderful.
addition, I wanted to also extend, once the 500 credential limit is reached, an additional discount of $5 off our credential for the STD credential by using SAFE. And that's in the promo code section.
Right.
So make a note of both student and SAFE. And I welcome your viewers to take part in it.
That's great. So how long do you think it's going to take for us to get to that SAFE, really reduce the assault numbers, really reduce the transmission numbers, really you've been immersed in this, in developing this. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, this tool, because it is a renewable credential every 6 months. So the beauty of that is once someone gets the credential, they're going to want to maintain it because, it's as of a certain date, and the date is on the credential. So I think that is going to motivate people to maintain a level of safety, a level of, staying above the law, and a level of being trustworthy. So I hope that as this, gets more readily, people are more readily aware of the credential, that in turn it will reduce, the statistics as they relate to fraud, violent crime, and the transmission of STDs.
Great. Now, is it I just realized that the time lapse of 6 months. So in that 6 months, is it possible that something that didn't get caught that was dormant could surface? Or is 6 months on purpose so that we catch that?
Okay, and the purpose of the 6 months, we did have focus groups before we launched. So we interviewed thousands of people, and we asked, how often would you be willing to be tested? And that's on the STD credential. For any credential, you can ask at any time. So, of course, someone can pass and show that they haven't committed a crime. But I think that in getting this credential, that person's going to think, hey, I know it's going to expire.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're going to think twice about, going out and doing something, after receiving the credential, because it's a membership,
mm-hmm.
so to speak.
Right.
It's a membership of safe dating, both adults and young adults.
Right. So, and let's say someone did have negative on everything, but positive on something that was treatable. What happens to them once they've finished the treatment? They come back and get retested.
Yeah, they can get retested and they can get their credential.
Okay.
So that's the beauty of it. So, in a lot of ways, it also helps them, confirm and get treated and prevent a lot of things that are linked to STDs,
mm-hmm.
Like we mentioned earlier, the pelvic inflammatory disease, and amongst others that are attributed to STDs that are untreated.
Okay. Wonderful. The last thing, not always, but sometimes with my guests, is who would you like to thank for their support in helping you get to where you are with this in this project? And give a
Well, I'd like to thank Kimberly Seltzer, who is our advisor. She is a leading makeover coach. She's been on the Great Love Debate and the Romance. I'd also like to thank Quest Diagnostics for being a partner. I'd like to thank Covent Bridge, who conducts our background checks, and those background checks are used by all the major insurance carriers around the world, so they're very in-depth. I'd also like to thank Rachel Russo from the Matchmaking Institute of New York, as well as my team, which is just a fantastic group of professionals who are fully committed. And Katie Kostner, who's executive director of Take Back the Night for the prevention of rape, especially date rape, and who invited us to the International Summit. And I'd like to thank you, Dr. Marissa, for helping me to spread this message.
Absolutely. It was my blessing. Thank you so much, Jo Lynn Clemens, XOXY.com.
Thank you.
All righty. That was very greatly informative and needed, and I'm very happy to have that as part of my sexual healing series. And it is time at the end of the show for the Balance Bar. And as you heard on the promo, the 21-day fast from complaining, round 60, that means July 1st, 2016, it will be the beginning of my 6th year since we started in 2011. I don't know if my math is... Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. We've been doing it a long time. The app came out at the end of last year. So if you are on the fast, and there's over 8,000 of us who have in some way or another been touched by the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa, please do get that app. It's less than $1, and who says you can't get anything for less than $1 these days? But it houses the daily tips as well as the video links, as well as this baby crying and cheering if you don't complain. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy that app and sign up at www.4balance.org or drmarissa.tv. And that way, if you do not complain for 21 days, you will win a pack of my motivational cards, 52 card pick-me-up, stacking the deck for life balance with Dr. Marissa. And all of that, if you just want to buy the copies, go to my balance marketplace at drmarissa.website. And big news, you can come to Costa Rica to a luxurious spot called Rhythmia Resort and get balanced and pampered at the same time. I've been invited to teach there from June 18th to the 23rd, balanced Tai Qigong. So if you would like to have a vacation that you will not have to have another one to recover from, with help on everything from unlimited spa to unlimited yoga to wonderful organic food, the pool, the beaches. It's just an amazing time. And you'll get your insides cleaned out as well and cleared of any bad habits like addictions, or addiction especially to the lie that you're not good enough, that you are really the truth, which is that you're loving, loved, and lovable. Next week, my guest will be my friend and vegan food boss, Reverend Arlene Hilton, who gave me a new appreciation for vegan food through an awesome program I participated in over the Lent season out of Agape called I'm Keeping True. So that's next week on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pei. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.